right, everyone, buckle up because today we're diving headfirst into the world of Canadian visitor visas,
We're tackling those official government resources head on.
the ones that could make even a seasoned traveler crave a double-double, am I right?
Absolutely.
Let's be real. Deciphering those guidelines can feel like climbing a mountain sometimes.
It can be a bit overwhelming, yeah.
But fear not, intrepid travelers,
hmm
because that's why we're here, to break it all down.
We'll decode those visa applications, make sure you're fully prepared.
Exactly. We're going to make sure you sail through that process. So before we get lost in a sea of jargon,
Lost in the weeds.
yes, let's clarify who actually needs a visitor visa in the first place. Because it's not everyone, right?
You're right. It's not as simple as just showing up with a smile on your passport.
Right.
But it's also not as daunting as it might seem at first glance.
Okay, good to know.
For many folks, the electronic travel authorization, the ETA, is all they'll need.
Okay.
But, and this is important, even if you usually just breeze through with an ETA, you might actually need a full visitor visa if you've traveled to certain countries recently.
Really?
Yeah, it all depends on your travel history.
Wow, so many people probably don't realize that. Okay, so travel history plays a role, but what about those really quick trips? Like a layover.
Right.
You're on your way to, say, some sunny beach.
Yeah.
You're only in Canada for like 24 hours.
You might still need a visa, even then, specifically a transit visa.
Okay.
Don't worry, though, there's no fee for that one.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So we've got the who covered. But now I want to dig into what it actually means to be a temporary resident in Canada. That feels like one of those phrases open to interpretation.
It definitely requires some understanding of what Canadian officials are looking for. They're trying to determine if you're a genuine visitor.
Right.
They want to see that you'll be heading home after your Canadian adventure, not putting down roots.
So, how do you actually prove that? How do you prove you're legally authorized? What convinces them?
Proof, my friend. It's all about the proof. It's like you're building a case file for your trip, right?
Okay.
They want to see strong ties to your home country.
Okay, so like what?
Could be a job that you can't wait to get back to.
Right.
Maybe you own property or you've got deep family connections.
Yeah.
And get this, even being involved in community organizations or having projects back home can really strengthen your application.
Shows you've got a life waiting.
Exactly. It's all about demonstrating those ties.
So you're saying, don't worry, Canada, I'm coming back.
Exactly.
All right, but let's be real. Trips cost money. So how much are we talking here? How much financial proof is enough?
Yes. The financial side of things.
The big one.
It's not about emptying your bank account,
Yeah.
but you do need to show them that you can support yourself financially while you're in Canada, enjoying the experience.
Right. So you can buy all those souvenirs and eat all that delicious food.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not just about having the money. It's about proving you have access to it while you're there.
Right.
Yeah.
You got it. Think bank statements, credit card statements. Those are your financial allies in this process because they paint a clear picture of your financial readiness for Canada.
Okay, makes sense.
And remember, honesty is key here. Trying to inflate your finances or provide misleading information is a one-way ticket to Rejectionville.
So no digging for spare change in the couch cushions then.
Exactly.
But what are we talking about exactly? How much proof?
They've actually got this detailed table outlining the minimum you need,
Okay,
and it changes based on how long you're staying and how many people you're with.
right.
Little insider tip for you, though.
Yeah.
That required amount, it's actually lower if your visiting relative is over 65.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay, so it's not just about having the money then, but also proving you can access it in Canada.
Exactly. Think bank statements, credit card statements.
Right. Okay.
Those are your best friends in this process.
Okay.
They paint a clear picture of, whether you're good to go.
Right.
And remember, honesty is paramount here. Don't try to inflate your finances or anything like that.
Right. Don't be misleading.
Exactly, because that's a surefire way to get your application denied.
Okay. Transparency it is. Now, what about those big family vacations? Like, say you're planning a trip with the whole crew, grandparents, kids, everyone.
Right.
Does everyone, even little Timmy, need their own application?
You're right to be thinking about that. It can turn into a mountain of paperwork if you're not careful.
Right.
And yes, each family member needs their own application, even the little ones.
Oh, wow. Okay.
However, silver lining, you can submit them together as one family unit
Okay.
and just make one payment.
Oh, thank goodness. That's good. All right. Now, on to a topic that I think makes people a little nervous.
Oh,
Medical exams.
okay.
Are we talking like full x-rays and blood work here.
It's not quite that intense.
Okay, good.
For most visitors staying under 6 months, medical exams aren't actually required.
Okay. Uh,
There are some exceptions, though. So if you're planning an extended stay or if you're going to be working in certain fields like healthcare, childcare, agriculture, you might need a medical checkup.
So if I'm just there to enjoy the scenery, maybe eat some poutine, I can skip the whole doctor's office thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Enjoy those poutine cravings without the medical exam worry. However, it's important to note that while a clean bill of health is generally expected for regular visitor visas, it becomes mandatory when we step into the realm of the super visa.
Ah, yes. The super visa. Now, that's that special visa for parents and grandparents of Canadian citizens or permanent residents, right?
Exactly.
What makes it so super?
Well, it's all about extended stays and family connections. Unlike regular visitor visas, the super visa allows for multiple entries into Canada over a 10-year period, and each visit can be up to 2 years long.
Wow.
It's perfect for people who really want to spend quality time with their loved ones in Canada and really immerse themselves in Canadian life.
Yeah. So instead of quick visits, grandma and grandpa can actually settle in a bit,
Right?
maybe learn how to make pancakes with the grandkids, become a regular at the local hockey rink.
Exactly. But like any good superhero story, there are a few extra steps involved. One crucial element is something called a letter of invitation from the Canadian child or grandchild. And this is more than just a warm welcome note.
Oh, really? Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not just about proving I can afford to be there, but my family in Canada needs to show they can support me too.
Exactly. They need to demonstrate their ability to provide you with financial support. This is where that minimum necessary income, the MNI, comes into play.
Okay.
It's based on the sponsor's family size, and it basically acts as a financial safety net, making sure that your stay is comfortable and you don't have any worries.
Right, so it's kind of like a guarantee.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say I have a family of four,
Okay.
and we want to sponsor my mother to come and enjoy,
Yeah.
the beautiful Canadian fall with us. What kind of income are we talking about here? What does she need to show?
So for 2024, that magic number would be $36,576.
Okay.
Keep in mind, this figure can change, so it's always best to check the government website for the most up to date information.
Right, right. Don't rely on old numbers.
Exactly. Now, remember, we mentioned those medical exams being mandatory for the super visa.
Uh-huh.
That's another key difference.
Okay. Yeah, a few extra hoops, but it sounds like it could be worth it for those longer stays.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's talk about biometrics. I feel like that word throws people off sometimes. It sounds very futuristic and maybe a little intimidating.
Right.
What's the deal with that?
It's not as glamorous as it sounds.
Okay, good.
Biometrics really just means giving your fingerprints and a photograph. It's all about confirming your identity, making sure everything is secure. Think of it as a modern day passport stamp, just digital.
So no need to practice our best spy moves then.
Not at all.
Where do we go for this whole biometrics thing?
Usually, you can find a visa application center
Okay.
or even some Canada Border Services agency locations that are equipped to handle that.
Okay.
And the best part, you only have to do this once every 10 years.
10 years. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not bad, right?
Not bad at all. That's great news for anyone who, wants to visit Canada more than once.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. I've got my application. It's all filled out. Everything's organized. My documents are perfect. I even aced my biometrics.
Okay.
Are there any common, I don't know, pitfalls that could still trip me up?
Yeah.
Things that could delay my trip?
You'd be surprised how often it's the smallest things.
Really?
It's like forgetting to say, please and thank you.
Right.
Small things can have big consequences.
Okay.
Incomplete applications, blurry documents,
Oh, yeah.
maybe a signature missing somewhere. Those can all lead to delays.
Yeah.
And then, of course, background checks. Those take a bit of time.
Yeah. Those are important.
Yeah.
It's crazy how those little details, they can totally derail things.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
reminds me of this friend, actually. They had their application delayed because they accidentally put the wrong year on their travel history.
Oh, no.
And they were so careful about everything else.
It happens.
But that one little mistake almost ruined their whole trip.
Wow. It just goes to show.
Shows you got to be careful.
Triple check everything.
Yeah, 10 times.
And speaking of, things that can really mess things up, let's be very clear.
Huh?
Attempting to hide information or, not being 100% honest on your application, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Don't lie to the Canadian government.
Exactly.
Not a good idea. Okay, so honesty is key. Thoroughness, like we said.
Attention to detail.
Attention to detail, yes. All very important if you want to visit Canada. So for our listeners who are dreaming of their Canadian adventures, what are like the top 3 takeaways to keep in mind?
All right, so number one, proof, proof, proof.
Okay, love it.
That's your best friend throughout this process. Ties to your home country, your financial situation, family connections, whatever it is, make sure you can back it up with documentation.
Okay, number 2.
Family matters. And that includes the paperwork. Even the littlest traveler needs their own application, although, you can submit them together to make life a little easier.
That's a good tip.
And finally, don't let the process overwhelm you. Yes, there are forms. Yes, there are requirements.
true.
But with a little preparation and the right information navigating this whole thing, it can be pretty straightforward.
Right.
Dare I say, maybe even a little bit enjoyable?
Maybe, if you like paperwork.
Yeah.
On that note, we'll let our listeners trade in those application anxieties for some actual Canadian adventures.
Yes, get those bags packed.
Exactly. Now, before you go explore those beautiful landscapes, here's something to think about.
Okay.
Could this visitor visa be like a stepping stone to something more?
Ooh, I like that.
Maybe this trip sparks something in you. You decide, hey, I don't just want to visit. Maybe I want to work here. Or who knows, maybe I want to become a permanent resident.
It's something to consider, right?
It's true. It's true. So much to think about. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Canadian visitor visas.
Always a pleasure.
We hope you feel informed, empowered, and ready to turn those travel dreams into reality.
Happy travels, everyone.
Happy travels.